What you doing? What you doing? Welcome back to the good old Southern IA, everybody, and another harvest day. But recently, some local fourth graders sent me some questions wondering about farming. And so today, Miss Brown's class, I'm answering your questions. So Miss Brown's class, let me introduce myself. My name is Ben Van Roekel. I am 28 years old. I started farming for myself in 2014. I'll let Miss Brown help you guys figure out how many years I've been farming, because that was one of your questions. I farm with my dad, who's in the combine up over there picking corn. Our hired hand, Andrew.
I'm not your brother.
He's not my brother. Our hired hand, Andrew, wave to Miss Brown's, or say hi to Miss Brown's.
Hi, Mrs. Brown's class.
Yeah, see, I usually tell them to say bye, but say hi this time. Yeah. And then we can't forget about my about to be 4-year-old blue heeler Bandit, who's actually with my main man, Wayne. So that's our farming crew. So one of your guys' questions is, what kind of crops do we grow? Well, let me show you. And now this might look like the tasty treat that you eat during the summer with some salt and pepper and some butter on it, but this isn't the same as sweet corn. This corn here gets turned into things such as corn flakes, cornmeal, corn syrup, but the main products that it gets used for is animal feed and a renewable energy called ethanol that you can burn in your car instead of gasoline. And we grow soybeans. Soybeans are this plant right here. The soybeans, they can be made into things such as meal, which is fed to animals. They can be processed for their oil, or they can even be turned into things for human consumption, such as tofu, if you guys have ever had tofu, or soy milk. And of course, one of you asks, what does a soybean taste like? It tastes like a soybean. And a lot of the soybeans you see in the fields driving around actually get exported to other countries. And then the last crop that we grow is hay. Hay is grown in these large green fields that almost looks like your lawn. And then it is cut, raked, and baled and stored into what these are called round bales. These round bales are then fed to livestock animals during the winter to keep them from going hungry. We use a lot of different types of equipment, and the main color on the farm is green, or John Deere for you guys. But we use different equipment with different purposes, different parts of the year. Such as in the spring, we might move into a fertilizer applicator to apply some nitrogen, and then we'll turn around and maybe do a little bit of tillage. Then we'll plant our crop. After the crop's been planted, we'll move into the summer. During the summer, we'll use hay equipment to cut hay, to rake hay, and to bale hay, along with spraying our crops to keep the weeds out of them and keeping them healthy. Then after the summer's up and we get into this time of year, which is harvest time, and during harvest we use a different variety of equipment again. We use the combine that will actually harvest the crop out of the field that we planted in the spring. We'll use things such as this tractor and the grain cart behind me to move crops from the field to the trucks, and then we'll use trucks to put them in the bin. Then typically after harvest is done, we'll move into doing land improvement projects, building terraces, installing drainage systems, and fixing up fence lines and things like that. So you guys want to know, do we have any other animals besides Bandit and the other dogs? No, we don't. But I have been on cattle farms and a goat farm, or heck, there was even a donkey. So one of the next questions you guys have for me is, how much money do you make? And that's interesting to ask, because we as farmers don't get paid an hourly wage or a salary. So our income is undetermined. We don't really know, based upon the amount of money that we spend through the year as the expense, and the amount of money that we can have come in through grain sales. And I'll show you how we sell grain. So to sell grain, we have to take it to a plant where they'll pay us for the corn or soybeans. This happens to be corn. First thing they're going to do is, with this arm right here, is that they are going to probe us, and that tells us how good our corn is. They'll probe it a few times. This is called probing. Then I wait until this light right there turns green, which it just did. After they grade the corn, they'll tell me what pit or place they want me to go unload the corn at. So they just told me that we'll head east here, and so that means we gotta head up here, cross the railroad tracks, and pull into the double pit dumps. And before we dump our corn, we pull up onto a scale, and the scale is gonna weigh us. It's gonna weigh the corn, it's gonna weigh the truck, it's gonna weigh me, and it's even gonna weigh Bandit. And then we wait on that light to turn green, and now it's turned green, we back up. And now we dump the corn. Then we head back up onto the scale for an empty weight. And as soon as they grab our empty weight, we pull off the scale so the next truck can pull onto it, and then we head out and we go get a ticket to tell us how much corn we had on it, which is right here. And since this was the end of my corn, I'm done with harvesting corn for myself personally. I only had half a load on, so we had 546 bushels. And so Cargill will send me a check paying me for my corn. And now, so we're sitting in the combine getting ready to harvest another one of our fields. And you guys want to know, how long does it actually take to harvest the field? Well, let me show you. And so here's the field that I was harvesting last night. And it's really hard to say how long it takes to harvest a field because the fields are all different sizes. But last night when I was in the field, the monitor is going to tell me that I was harvesting 13.7 acres an hour, and I was in here for 1 hour and 48 minutes and 11 seconds, and I harvested 24.8 acres. How many problems do we have in one day? Well, like, to be honest, some days they're good. We don't have any problems. And then some days it seems like we have all the problems. You guys must have seen a video of me pulling trees with my skid steer. The reason we pull those trees is because those are unwanted trees or volunteer trees. A lot of the times they're in waterways or they grow out from the fence lines and things like that. They aren't trees that were planted there with a purpose, or we're not clearing the land to have more farmland. It's more along to clean up the edges of the fields, clean up the waterways, to keep sprayer booms and things like that from hitting a tree and wrecking something. Well guys, the next thing we'll show you is my pickup truck, because you want to know how long it takes me to gather everything I need to get ready to go for the day. Just like you guys should gather up everything you need before you head to school for your school day, I try and do that when I go to work. What I use here is my pickup truck. My pickup truck, I have everything on it that I should need in a single day. I carry all my tools with me in my toolbox. All the sockets, impacts, hammers, wrenches, things like that, they go right in there. I carry all my straps, hitches, and things like that, which apparently my straps are depleted. I carry all my diesel fuel on with me. I've got chains, I've got a shovel, I've got an air compressor, I've got a generator, all of those things that I might need throughout the day. I try and be as prepared as possible so that I don't waste any time. If something happens or goes wrong, I'm prepared. We carry a vise, a jack, all the oils, make it stick, make it slip, tire repair kits, jumper cables, everything you can think of. And then I've also always got a few tools in there in my truck as well, along with some gear for YouTube, which is the next thing you guys want to know about. Hey, old blue dog. Hi, bud. You've been out of the rain, haven't you? What do I film everything on? Well, everything mostly gets filmed on a GoPro, except for if it dies, and I'll use my cell phone. And then for cool aerial shots, I use a DJI drone to get some cool aerial pictures. To edit all my blooper reels together, I use a program on my computer called Power Director to make the videos to upload to YouTube. They're like, what about merchandise? Well, for merchandise, I have a couple of t-shirts and hats, and hold on, I got quite a bit of harvest hair going on here. But I found myself some hats that had nice leather patches, and they get the engraving in the side of them. Well, it turns out, like everything in life, they're pretty nice, but they're pretty expensive. So I just put them onto the website at basically what it cost me to have those hats So realistically, I lose money on my merchandise because I wear them too. So thank you, Miss Brown's class, for hanging out with me down here in the good old Southern IA today and showing interest in your local farm community. Hopefully I answered all your questions that you guys asked me in an interesting way. But if you guys have any other questions, don't be scared to ask a farmer. Most of them will be happy to tell you. And now here's something that I've always wanted to do. Class dismissed.